Okay, one of the things that I really wanted to hit on this trip were a couple of the old nuclear test sites where they've exploded atomic bombs during tests back in the 40s here in Nevada. So I am about 35 minutes from the Project Faultless test site. However, what I'm seeing is that if you look out the front here, this is going to be one of those dirt road transits for about 16 miles. I've done them before. Honestly, I'm not a big fan simply because they do tend to get super bumpy. And then I run into that problem with the the washboard roads and the dust. Oh, speaking of dust, I'm going to have to close my back window. I'm so glad I said the word dust. So you'll have to pardon me while I close my window. I'll be back in a minute. And of course, it probably should be expected that we're 15 miles, or we're going to be going 15 miles off into the desert, because, you're going to want some kind of, distance from people, especially when you're doing things like atomic testing. Now, what's really interesting about that, speaking of people, is that, back in the day when they were doing these atomic tests, people in Las Vegas would get together to watch these explosions because you could see them in the distance. And they would basically have atomic parties, They would be, taking photographs, watching it, sitting on rooftops, making it a grand old adventure. And why not? I mean, at the time, we didn't know that much about the effects of nuclear fallout than we do today. Now, one of the questions that I know has come up with me specifically about these sites is, are they still radioactive? Well, my understanding is they are, but not to the point where they could be devastatingly, impactful on my health or anybody's health. So I'm really excited to see what this place looks like, just to get a feel. It probably just looks like this, but to go there to actually see where they did atomic testing, I think is kind of a cool thing. So we still got about 35 minutes of drive here, so I'll come back on here in a second once I get closer, and we'll check out the Project Faultless test site. So see you in a second. That's where I gotta go. So that's an even smaller road than what I'm on right now, but I've only got another 1.4 miles. I really hope Google's taking me to the right place, because I've been driving now for about 35 minutes. Pretty much in the middle of nowhere. I've seen cows, I've seen deer. Matter of fact, there's cows. If you look out the window, there's cows there. So I really hope that I'm going to where I intend to be, because if I'm going where I'm not intending to be, it's going to be a little frustrating. This road is getting smaller and smaller. Soon there's not going to be a road left. I don't know if I'm on somebody's farm. I don't know if it's BLM land. I have no idea what's going on. Pretty exciting though, huh? Well, I made it, and much to my surprise, there's actually something here to take a look at. So this is probably one of the more backwoods places I have ever been. I mean, I'm literally 15 miles from the highway, but here's what I've got. Look at this big metal, looks like a giant can, but filled with concrete. And it says, I'm going to go ahead and read this to you. Oh, this is 1960. It says, United States Atomic Energy Commission, Dr. Glenn I. Seaborg, Chairman, Project Faultless, January 19th, 1968. A nuclear detonation was conducted below this spot at a depth of 3,200 feet. So we're actually in a crater then. The device with the yield of less than 1 megaton was detonated to determine the environmental and structural effects that might be expected should subsequent higher yield underground nuclear tests be conducted in this vicinity. So they don't want us to excavate, drill, or remove any materials within a distance of 3,300 feet from the surface ground zero location, which is right here, probably because it remains radioactive. So let's take a walk around and check this out. I mean, this is, so it's a little later than what I thought. But you know, that's okay. It's still part of the whole atomic program. And if you look around, there's this ridge line that runs all the way around us here. So so we're at the crater. We're at ground zero in this crater right now. Now you tell me that's not cool. That means this whole land just boom right up into the sky. So let's take a walk around, see what's over here. We've got these posts, we've got this concrete, there's probably at one point some kind of way to measure, I guess, seismic activity perhaps. Maybe there were some other instruments here, I don't know. I also don't know what these pipes are for, but there are a few of them. But let's take a walk up. Let's go up one of these hills. Let's check this out. See, the moon is out. We've got this nice mountain range. So really, if you're going to do an explosion, this is probably a good place, because I'm looking down. I'm seeing what looks like beach glass. Sorry about that. Just got sidetracked for a second. Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the hills, this is a nice valley. You're surrounded on all sides, which means if you're going to do something like this, you're probably going to get a little bit of attention. I'm sure that the neighboring farms, the communities, would have felt some kind of earthquake, or I would assume that they would have been notified of some kind of, military testing. I would hope so anyway. As far as fallout goes, I don't know. It's only less than a megaton, so it probably wasn't the biggest, but it was part of the Department of Energy program. Here's a tin can. But look where we are, and it's perfectly quiet. So you can see this crater shape here where the ground just came up. It's pretty wild, isn't it? And listen how quiet. Take a walk along the crater rim here for a few minutes. So what do you think? Worth a visit? 15 miles out in the middle of nowhere for this? I think so. I think it was definitely worth it. I think my truck's definitely going to need a bath afterwards because it's filthy now. But to be able to go and see something and be in a place that had that's actually part of the atomic history is pretty cool, So, well, all right. We'll get back in the truck and move on to the next exciting adventure. I mean, who knows? Today has just been one of those days where we've got to see all kinds of really cool stuff so far. And the day's not even half over yet. We got a long way to go.